I wanted to share. I saw this video that came out and I was kind of thinking about watching it, but it's kind of long. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. SlopTube and weaponized ignorance. Did you see Israel admitted that Biden never asked for a ceasefire? I mean, of course he didn't. Did he even ever use the word ceasefire? Oh, fuck, dude. But I wanted to show this to all of you before we get to this. It's a good video. Oh, you guys saw it? Really? Oh, when did you guys see this? What the hell? You watched without me. What the frick? Oh, Hassan watched it? Oh, okay. I didn't see it. I kind of wanted to watch a little bit of this, but I did want to share this with you guys. One sec. There was a New York Times article about Hassan that was something like just talking about how the right aesthetic is correct for trying to correctly rehabilitate a subset of people. And unironically, the whole like looking and presenting like a jock, but being a huge leftist helps the movement a lot. I'm not even joking when I say, like, for example, Kat Abou-Ghazaleh having blonde hair, but being a insanely progressive is it's great marketing. It's great marketing. It's unbelievably good marketing. Because you're trying to lure people in like a siren and tell them, no, it's safe. It's safe to be around me. Because you're trying to undo their, the stereotypes that they have about what leftists look like, right? When they think of leftists, it's like, oh my God, septum piercing, blue hair, soy. And then they see someone who doesn't look like that. So like their criticisms fall apart a little bit. And then they're more willing to listen because they're saying, oh wait, I don't have to be soy to be a leftist. Okay. I don't know if people still use the insult soy. I don't know if I'm dated. That's a little too dated, but you guys get what I'm talking about. So this article came out. It was titled, I disagreed with the initial titling, by the way. I thought the initial titling was a little bit ridiculous, but let me see if I can find it. The New York Times piece was, let me see. New York Times, a progressive mind in a MAGA body. And now I'm gonna disagree on principle and say that they changed it. Okay, good. Because MAGA body that's not what people in the MAGA crowd look like. I mean, RFK Jr. somehow, despite being as muscular as he is, looks and sounds and acts unbelievably unwell, right? You have people like, wait, I want to find it. Wait. There was a really good post. Hold this post. This is how the people who voted for Kamala Harris look, except there's literally images of both Elon Musk looking like this and Trump looking like this. You can't make this shit up. Like, built like a Cybertruck, derogatory. Anyways, I'm glad they changed it to a progressive mind in a body made for the manosphere. Hassan Piker pumps iron, likes weapons, and wears pearls. His brand of masculinity has won him many fans online, has been a very useful vehicle for his politics. And I agree with that. Because like it's the same reason that like Starship Troopers had all of these like fit, gorgeous actors in the movie, right? It's to sell an image. It's to sell this utopia image to better package the reality that this is a fascist world, right? And people get lured in by aesthetics all the time. The goal is to lure them in with aesthetics and then have better politics. So I'm not joking, guys. Ethan Klein literally went on his Instagram story and made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Instagram stories reviewing. This is his day off, and he was reviewing this article. But I didn't know that he did this. Ethan Klein using this massive emoji on his Instagram story to block out the part where the article says block out the part of the article where Hassan says, I find anti-Semitism to be completely unacceptable, is so fucking shameless. And he posts this part where it says he blocks commentators for what he sees as overtly hate speech, but not for speaking critically when they challenge his views on topics like transgender rights or the war in Gaza. And right above that, it says, I find anti-Semitism to be completely unacceptable, Mr. Piker said on a call in April. I find the conflation of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism to be very dangerous. Oh, dude, stop. No. I'm guessing this was like an ad that was blocked and then above it is the text, which is why he used this. Why would you? Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. And then he tweeted out probably one of the most insane things I've ever seen in my fucking life. Or he Instagram storied. Ian posted on his Threads. Is that what this website is? I don't know if it's Threads or what it is, but some website. And he said, first time at Gasworks Park. So amazing, 10 out of 10. And Ethan Klein tweeted, he put this on his story. It says, young swastika boy turning his first gas valve. How ill are you? Dude. You literally sound like a fucking crazy person, dude. You sound like a fucking crazy person, man. You've lost it when you're posting like this, dude. You've actually lost it. Between this and the swastika sword thing, I have no words, man. And then there was, oh, did I not save it? I guess I didn't save it. That tattoo is talking to him like the Green Goblin mask. You're not wrong. You're not fucking wrong. Oh, Lord. Where is it? I guess I lost it. Let me see if I can try and find it. There was one other thing. I guess I lost it. But there was something else that, oh yeah, he's like inciting people to harass this journalist. And there were people, I don't even know how I didn't save this tweet. I meant to save it so I can show it to you guys. But it was like a collection of his Reddit posts from his subreddit saying that they were messaging the New York Times to say that they had to issue corrections and that their journalist, the journalist who wrote that specific piece, is propping up a terrorist and is propping up a terrorist sympathizer. It's actually insane. It's actually really insane. This Medium article was written about it, it seems like. Ethan Klein's Instagram stories ignite a harassment campaign against a New York Times reporter, echoing Gamergate's toxic legacy. Ethan Klein, host of H3 Podcast, once again found himself at the center of controversy after spearheading a harassment campaign against the New York Times reporter and editor through his Instagram stories. And says here, shame on you. And says that the author is Jack Crosby. The coordinated email brigade facilitated through H3H3 Productions subreddit reveals a disturbing pattern of online vigilantism that threatens journalistic integrity and mirrors the darkest chapters of internet history. And let me see if I can find it. Posts on X from April 27, 2025, further highlighting the fallout, noting that Klein's followers were, quote, actively promoting an email brigade to the New York Times to warn them about Hassan's dangerous ideas, such as opposing genocide and advocating for workers' rights. While these ideas are far from radical, Ethan Klein's framing on Instagram stories paint Piker as a threat, galvanizing his fan base into a digital mob. And here's the post that says, report this trash puff piece to the New York Times editorial board. Thanks to user Topway for posting this first today. I'll post link to their original post in the comments. Is clearly pushed forward by a publicist working for Hassan to get ahead of any negative publicity that is surely coming his way soon. Any day now. Due to recent events surrounding his actions and the people he platforms. Guys, Copium, the content nuke. Copium. The content nuke is going to do something any day now. It's going to make him lose all of his relevance. He's going to... Copium. It's surely going to make him lose his audience. It's sure any day now. And it's definitely not Ethan Klein that's losing his audience. It's definitely, surely. And there were a lot of people posting that they said, like, I emailed this right now. I emailed them and I told them that this fucking journalist is disgusting. He's platforming a Houthi terrorist sympathizer, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, dude, I really hope Ethan wakes up, dude. I really hope he wakes up and realizes that this is not normal behavior, man. This is very not normal behavior. You're ill at this point, dude. Yeah. Isn't he supposed to talk to Sam Cedar today? Allegedly. He said he was going to organize it for this week. That's what he alleged, but I guess we'll find out, won't we? I guess we'll have to wait and see. There's no way he actually debates Sam. He's too much of a pussy. I agree with you. I fucking agree with you, dude. He is too much of a pussy. But it's possible. It's possible. Also, sorry, but like, for the mold today, I totally forgot to get to this. Circling back to the Tectone story for a sec. I think people would respect a decision like this by Twitch if it was applied universally. If applied fairly, the TOS of Twitch is quite reasonable and well-intentioned. The problem is when you have asymmetrical enforcement and double standards. Dog, we got banned for a month for making fun of Ethan Klein. What do you mean? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here, man? What are we talking about here? No, they're making a point. Tectone should be banned for a month. Okay, wait. Let him cook. He might be onto something. I did want to take a peek at this video.
Up until recently, corporate media and ivory tower elites have held what seemed to be a monopoly on the flow of information. If you wanted to hear an opinion on a contentious matter, you would have to turn on the corporate media platform of your choosing, and you would be spoon-fed an acceptable position on the topic at hand. For a good long while, this arrangement served corporate interests quite well. As Noam Chomsky and Edward S. Herman put it in their 1988 book, Manufacturing Consent, the mass media serve as a system for communicating messages and symbols to the general populace. It's their function to amuse, entertain, and inform, and to inculcate individuals with the values, beliefs, and codes of behavior that will integrate them into institutional structures of the larger society. In a world of concentrated wealth and major conflicts of class interest, to fulfill this role requires systematic propaganda. This model of subtle propaganda and gatekeeping of serious discussion has fallen out of favor in recent years due to the rise of alternative media figures and platforms. From From YouTube to Twitter to Rumble for the really bad boys, these alternative media platforms have proven to resonate quite well with the average person. And for good reason. People have begun to see through the elitist corporate stronghold that traditional media held over the flow of information for decades. And for a lot of people, they've become disillusioned with the status quo that those institutions were propped up to protect. People are tired of feeling as though serious political conversation can only be reserved for ivory tower elites and fucking Anderson Cooper. So when they hear a seemingly down-to-earth guy like Joe Rogan talk with his buddy who has an interest in politics or aliens or what have you, it's easy to resonate with them and latch on to folks like that for insight on current events and world news. Same goes for his contemporaries, who seem to offer an alternative to the polished media institutions of old and instead sell you their personalities, ranging from humble and inquisitive to whatever this is. However,
Alex Jones, dude, man.
As we've recently seen, these alternative media ecosystems very quickly begin to replicate the undesirable aspects of traditional corporate media. From sketchy funding to audience capture, independent media has proven not to be immune to the shortcomings of its predecessor. But worst of all, these alternative media spheres are a breeding ground for anti-intellectualism. I know that sounds like a really elitist word, but I do think it's important to know what it means and how to spot it in the wild. Anti-intellectualism is hostility to and mistrust of intellect, intellectuals, and intellectualism, commonly expressed as deprecation of education and philosophy and the dismissal of art, literature, history, and science as impractical, politically motivated, and even contemptible human pursuits. Anti-intellectuals may present themselves and be perceived as champions of common folk, populists against political and academic elitism, and tend to see educated people as a status class that dominates political discourse.
And I've talked about this exact thing, by the way, on how, there's probably only 1 billion segments from Tucker Carlson saying that these schools, the colleges are woke and they're going to make you woke and they don't teach you anything. And all they do is try and shit on hard laborers. And it's so absurd because, like, I took baby's first anthropology class. I took baby's first sociology class. And unfortunately, at that point, I had already read like 510,000 word dissertations on Tumblr. I was already too woke. But in my college class, they literally say, or like this professor was literally talking about how class and the perception of class impacts people's perception of you. That he went on this diatribe on like how he's a teacher, or a professor, which is a respected role in society. And so even though he makes nothing, he still gets a base level of respect from his family, from his community, from the people around him, from general society, versus someone who's the manager of a Dunkin' Donuts, right? They might be making more. Someone who has a very successful Dunkin' Donuts franchise selling dog water coffee. Let's all be real. It's bad coffee. It is. I swear to God, okay, as an East Coaster, I am legally required by law to say that their coffee used to be good. And at some point, they just had like a Starbucksification of all of their products where they just started putting sugar in everything. I remember the days where Dunkin' Donuts, I swear to God, it used to just be mostly just coffee. And the coffee was fine. It was still burned, but it was fine. And now every single drink they have is like 100% sugar and like 0% coffee. It's like coffee essence is what they have. Anyways. But yeah, my professor, who's supposed to be making us all woke or whatever, is explicitly talking about how, yeah, this person who runs a fast food chain, who probably makes more than I do, because I make nothing as a professor. I work a couple hours a week. I'm not tenured. I don't make anything teaching. I make barely nothing teaching. And they probably live a better life than me, but they don't have the same class standing that I do, because I work a more respectable job. And our perception about what jobs are respectable and which ones aren't impacts how we treat these people and the type of respect we give these people and what we allow them to do in society, right? So this class, this college class, this elitist New York school, they're being taught, hey, yeah, the students who are going to these classes are being taught, yeah, by the way, all laborers deserve respect. Hey, by the way, these perceptions we have about who is deserving of this behavior, who's deserving of this behavior, these things are wrong. And we only have these ideas because we live in a society. So like actual higher education will teach you these things if you don't already know them. And it will teach you to be more class conscious. And it will teach you like, hey, yeah, we live in a society, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because you have to take, in a lot of schools, you have to take some basic social classes. I don't know what the social sciences classes. Like I had to take, you still have to take your math classes. You still have to take your science classes. You still have to take your creative classes, maybe a language class or whatever. And then you get to take whatever your classes are for your majors. The general education stuff, yeah. So we had our general education classes. My sociology class was one of them. And if you didn't already know that and you took this class, you'd be like, oh, wow, yeah, I guess I hadn't really thought about it. The opposing side, what do? They don't present a fair representation. Tucker Carlson gets on a show and tells you they think you're stupid. They don't fight for you. The left is pushing higher education that makes fun of you as a hard laborer. You're a plumber. Guess what? The left colleges, they teach you that being a plumber is bad and you shouldn't be respected. It's like, what the fuck are you even talking? We're just making shit up. But the right-wing outlets have to push this idea because they have to garner not respect for the position, but support for the position that we should dismiss funding and remove funding from schools, that we should ban books from schools. They want people to hate modern schooling so that they can defund it, so they can make it even worse, so you're more likely to vote for them.
Higher education while being detached from the concerns of ordinary people. Sound familiar? This is the entire MO of Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, and the like. Anti-intellectualism, with its disdain for science, embrace of conspiracy theories, and us versus them mentality.
Flat Earth.
What I'm telling
if you're on
you.
a flat Earth, you can travel anywhere. Give me two cities.
Eddie,
you point at two cities and you just
we've
go
been
there.
lied to so much, I get what you question.
Is the foundation of reactionary politics and a driving force behind the rise of the far right.
I thought Churchill was the chief villain of the Second World War.
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay.
But this video is not about Joe Rogan, Alex Jones, or Tucker Carlson. It's actually about a subset of alternative media that I like to refer to as SlopTube. I didn't coin this term, but SlopTube typically refers to content creators, not necessarily just YouTubers, who create run-of-the-mill drama commentary or pop culture content, typically from what they claim to be an apolitical perspective. SlopTube content ranges from covering interpersonal beefs between YouTubers, all the way over to political commentary that's supposed to be somewhat centrist, but often carries water for the right. I don't use the term SlopTube as a pejorative. I actually engage in the slop every now and then. I
enjoy myself a bit of slop. I won't lie.
There are certain creators in this realm who do a really good job. I also concede the point that left-wing YouTube or BreadTube or whatever it's called is definitely home to some annoying motherfuckers, so you don't need to convince me on that. But the reason I want to look into SlopTubers for this video is because they benefit from a very special type of defense. Let's call it weaponized ignorance. It's where they utilize their position as ostensibly apolitical content creators to shield themselves from criticism when they throw their hat in the ring on serious political conversations. They may not even know that they benefit from this, but regardless of their intentions, their positions in the online ecosystem allot them this privilege. Again, I don't think it's wrong for them to cover contentious political topics. I'm actually happy that they do because I think there's things that we can all learn from each other, and discussion shouldn't be stifled due to a perceived lack of credentials. But my point here is that they should treat serious topics with the respect they deserve. That includes backing up their statements with sources, and when they get something wrong on a contentious subject, issuing a correction.
Hezbollah is credited with about 500,000 deaths in Syria.
Let's ask our friend ChatGPT.
I've looked into this pretty extensively. Okay. Hezbollah has killed significantly more people, by almost like 10 times, I think. I mean, we don't know the exact numbers coming out of Gaza at the moment. I'm trying to dry off the jack. Are you reading something contradictory, AB?
Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT says, overall, due to the scale of frequency of IDF operations over decades, they have likely caused more Muslim casualties than Hezbollah.
No shot. Hold on. What was the question you asked it?
Hezbollah versus IDF, who has killed more Muslims?
Ask if it's including the Syrian civil war. I mean, that makes no sense. I've literally fact-checked this a million times, I feel like.
In reality, their positions as drama creators actually serve as a shield for them when they irresponsibly cover a serious topic. Like I said.
And like the most offensive part is that they never highlight genuine journalism. They never highlight real coverage of these issues. They get on, they say what they want to say, and then they move on. Because I will tell you, what I really am excited to do is maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, we'll see when I have the time to, or maybe even just like off stream, I'm not sure, but I really want to.
Actually serve as a shield for them when they irresponsibly cover a serious topic. Like I said, weaponized ignorance. You can think of it as a cousin to anti-intellectualism in the way that it shuns responsible inquiry and in many instances keeps these creators insulated from having to actually put the work in to appropriately research the topics they broach. Often, these creators dabble in these topics not because they have a genuine concern for the subject at hand or because they cherish journalistic integrity, but because it's an easy way to get views and, more importantly, it's an easy way to stake out a position contrary to a creator they dislike and use contentious political topics as a proxy for personal issues.
Which I've said this, I clocked this in my video, and I've clocked this many times. Ethan Klein, for him, none of this matters to him. I think the topic of how Israel exists or Israel's current existence, I think it matters a lot to Ela. I mean, even in the old videos that have all recirculated, where Ethan Klein is like, dude, Israel fucking, this country sucks. You can hear Ela get defensive and she's like, well, the world sucks. Israel's great. Stop it, Ethan. Ethan, stop. Israel is really nice.
As we will see later in this video. Keep in mind, this apolitical veneer requires these creators to lend credence to the narrative that the far left and the far right are equally morally objectionable.
I'll tell you who we're talking about. You don't think Hassan has influence online?
Of course he does.
He's
yeah,
mainstream.
for sure.
So this is like Donald Trump hanging out with Nick Fuentes. Like, you don't think that matters?
Which results in this stupidity being parroted by their viewers.
I believe the biggest streamer on the left, Hassan Parker, he's just extremely, radical, and gets people just really worked up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, how about we look on the right? Nick Fuentes. Which one do you think
That's
is
a
more
good point.
harmful?
Honestly, between them, Hassan Parker, he literally plays
Hassan Parker? What? You don't even know his last name.
I'm so sorry, but saying that like Hassan produces worse outcomes for society than a neo-Nazi that loves Hitler
It's
and gets
actually
like
insane.
40,000
So, yeah.
viewers is absolutely radical.
In their chase for clicks and relevance, their audience is left with a hodgepodge of half-baked ideas and little nuance about the topics their favorite creator just introduced them to. So, in a bit of an ironic twist, I'm going to cover some SlopTubers to highlight examples of this behavior, which I guess makes me the SlopTuber this time.
No! You either die a hero or live long enough to become the villain. Chatter, I think you can be reformed, which is why I'm going to treat you with dignity and respect. All right? And I mostly think you can be reformed because you were kind of standing on business when you said many OnlyFans girls provide quality products. And you're right. All right? I'm sorry, objectively, many. That's facts, okay? Many of them provide way more value to society than someone like Asmongold does. Actually based. So I think you can be fixed, Chatter. So I'm going to treat you with some dignity. I'm going to treat you with some respect around here. What time is the charity ball? It's funny because like this is such like an esoteric insult at this point that only the people that are super involved even know what the fuck is being spoken about here. Like probably more than half of you have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. And what he's talking about is at the end of Creator Clash 2. I don't know if it was at the end of Creator Clash 1. Creator Clash, I think it was on a Saturday. So Friday they had like I think they might have had the weigh-ins or something and like the interviews. And then Saturday they had the actual fight. And on Sunday they had a gala, which was probably like a 4,000 square foot room with some tables and the saddest mini bar I've ever seen in my life. No shame, no hate. The saddest mini bar I've ever seen in my life. And that was to celebrate the fighters who participated. That was it. As someone who was there, I can tell you, no ball pit. There was some music. I think one of a music creator went up and sang some songs for us. I don't believe they even hired people specifically, like large musicians to play any music or anything. It's not like there was a fucking giant opera playing or anything. And again, it was to celebrate the fighters who participated. That was the purpose of it. It was, thank you guys for participating. This was an amazing weekend. I hope you guys, enjoyed your time and had fun. Just a way to close out the event so that the fighters don't just like, oh, we fought. Okay, well, time to go home. The event's over. Let's go. That's it. That was the full event. I don't know anything about the context. I just made a joke about your top. Oh, was that about my shirt? Okay, maybe I was just wrong. In which case, if I had just spent all this time talking about this, you can see how brain rotted I am. You can actually see how brain rotted I am. I'm cooked. I'm actually cooked. Charity money well spent. W. Ethan. I meant Ian. I literally, the worst part is I genuinely have, this is a pro Ethan account, yeah? No, I'm not affiliated. Do you know what pro means, chatter? It doesn't mean you're affiliated or that you're on the fucking books, dude. I'm saying that you are pro Ethan, anti Ian. That's your position personally. Which I have to say, dude, all of the people being like, I could host a better charity event. I could host a better charity event. Yep, I could do it. And mine would be so much better. It would be so much bigger. I could make the best charity event that's ever existed. Like, unrelated, the color looks good on you. Thanks.
Sorry. The main creators I want to focus on in this video are the live streamer Asmongold, Mudahar from the YouTube channel Some Ordinary Gamers, and the very well-known YouTuber and podcaster Ethan Klein of H3H3 Productions. These three people are in no way the only creators who exhibit this behavior, but they will serve as great examples of what I'm talking about. The reason I want to focus specifically on them is because their stories are somewhat intertwined, and they have all at some point in the past year and a bit made content that broaches the very serious geopolitical topic that is the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So before we start, I need to fill you in on some context and explain how we got here. Back in 2021, subject of this video, Ethan Klein, was one half of a political podcast called Leftovers. His co-host was the left-wing commentator Hassan Piker. Now, their podcast was, in my opinion, very enjoyable. It benefited greatly from the dynamic between the two. Ethan came across as the well-intentioned, slightly left-leaning funny guy, and Hassan assumed the role of the more seasoned political commentator. The podcast came to an end in late 2023, largely due to the October 7th attack in Israel. I'm not going to go into detail about how exactly this show and their friendship came to an end because it's not the most important part of this video, and frankly, I don't care much about the interpersonal drama between them. But in a nutshell, Ethan lived in Israel for a bit, and his wife, Ela, served in the IDF, while Hassan is a vocal advocate for the Palestinian plight. After October 7th, 2023, Ethan began making statements that many interpreted as tacit defenses of Israel, sparking backlash from his progressive fan base. He compared the organization Jewish Voice for Peace to capos.
The reason why I brought up Jewish Voice for Peace and other groups using this as well, like Jews themselves in America using this anti-Zionist slogan, indicates that this slogan isn't one that is about the evisceration of Jews. If that was the case, then they wouldn't use it.
There was Jewish collaborators with fucking Nazis.
Ethan, don't do that, please. Don't say that the Jews' Voice for Peace are akin to capos.
Made a disturbing remark about Aaron Bushnell by saying he burns alive really good.
Not to put this uncouth, but he's a champ at fucking burning alive. I mean, and that sounds bad, but he did it really good.
And echoed Ben Shapiro-style talking points by telling a pro-Palestinian sex worker that Hamas would kill him on the spot. As if this would, convince the guy to support Palestinian oppression? I don't know what Ethan's trying to do here.
This is like, I think this one's the most offensive insult. The like, yeah, well, they would kill you. Hamas would kill you for being gay. They would kill you for being trans. They would kill you for having boobs. Do you know that they would kill you? It's like, what the fuck is this non sequitur? Do you think that whether or not I think people should be genocided hinges on how progressive that country is? Are you fucking dumb? You know that doesn't impact my opinion on genocide, right? I don't have such shallow opinions on genocide that I think if a country is conservative, it should be genocided and wiped off the earth. Like, by that logic, we should also nuke half of the United States. We should just nuke the entire Bible Belt. Like, no, I'm sorry. Just because you don't subscribe to progressive ideology, it doesn't mean that suddenly, magically, I think that you should be genocided. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my fucking life. What? Also, in terms of like holding people in a country accountable for conservative ideology, I'm gonna hold countries like the United States at a much higher standard than Gaza. I'm sorry, Gazans have to currently worry about whether or not they will have anesthesia for amputations of limbs. And you expect me to be like, I can't believe you don't like gay people. They have more important shit to be spending all of their effort on. People in the US being like homophobic, grow up, dude. You need to move past this. This is unbelievably stupid. Oh my fucking God. Literally, gay people have done nothing to. I will criticize those people again because their basic needs are being met. Mostly. At least they aren't having airstrikes constantly fucking falling on their homes.
Ethan's brand of liberal Zionism increasingly alienated many of his progressive viewers. He later blamed Hassan for this shift, claiming that Hassan's more leftist politics had radicalized the audience into disagreeing with him. Ever since this, Ethan has relentlessly attacked pro-Palestinian advocates.
I am so proud to be marching with so many Jews.
Yes, the Jews! The Jews are here! Did we mention that? And I hope he is.
It's crazy that like the H3 people try and make fun of how I look and how I act, and this is their king. And anytime you try and bring this up, and anytime you try and criticize Ethan Klein for becoming more and more fucking insane, they're always like, excuse you, you're being ableist. Except if you pull up any podcast episode pre-leftovers and you compare it with how he acts now and how, like, the sentences that come out of his mouth, you will see the stark difference, the unbelievably stark difference. And then they still come for me. It's like, dog, like, dude, like, you need to look inward. Like, you need to look inward.
And I hope he is fired.
Socialists, Marxists.
Karl Marx, I got a fucking lot to say about that dipshit. Mao was a dumb bitch. What the fuck did he do? Actually, he did a lot. He helped China a lot, but at what cost?
Look at this loser watching other losers talk about bull crap nobody cares about. Ethan sucks, and so do you. Talk about insufferable. You've been on Twitch for a decade and you still haven't learned how to have fun? I think we all know who the loser is, okay?
He did a lot for China, I think. I don't know a lot about it.
And pretty much anyone to his left, denouncing them as radicals, anti-Semites, and terrorist sympathizers. He's even gone so far as to make a nearly 2-hour video titled Content Nuke Hassan Piker, in which he propagates lie after lie about Hassan, Palestinian history, the Nakba, and so on. But we'll get back to this later. Despite all this, Ethan still claims to be a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause.
I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years.
And the reason he feels this way is because he's critical of the current Netanyahu government and he supports a two-state solution. But as has been noted by Iraqi-Israeli historian Avi Shleim and many others like him, by its settlement expansion, Israel effectively killed the two-state solution. What is left of the West Bank is a collection of Palestinian enclaves surrounded by Israeli settlements and military bases that cannot form a viable state. In short, the two-state solution is dead, or to be more accurate, it was never born. The outcome I have come to favor is one democratic state between the River Jordan and the Mediterranean Sea, with equal rights for all its citizens regardless of ethnicity or religion. Proponents of a two-state solution also often tend to
quote a famous woman, based?
overlook the right of return for the over 7 million Palestinian refugees
and a normal country that isn't a fucking ethno-state?
Descendants living outside the Israeli-Palestinian borders, despite UN Resolution 194 affirming their right to return to their homes if they so choose. Apart from this, focusing solely on Netanyahu or the far right in Israel obscures the broader reality. The foundational project of Israel is one of ethno-religious supremacy and ethnic cleansing. Even relatively liberal or supposedly peaceful Israeli leaders are guilty of atrocities. To ignore that is to miss the forest for the trees. Ethan opposes lifting the blockade on Palestinians because he believes they would resort to violence if given the chance.
A one-state solution just eliminates like one internal faction that is an ever-present danger. And
you're telling me if we were to lift the blockade and the wall around Gaza today, there wouldn't be more violence against Israelis?
But
I really cannot stress enough that this is the exact argument that slave owners used about not freeing the slaves. This is not a good argument. This is a pro-apartheid argument. It's the, well, you really think if we freed the slaves, they wouldn't suddenly kill a bunch of white people? You can't justify oppressing a group of people out of concern that they would oppress you when freed, that they would commit violence against you, the same violence you committed against them when they're freed. That is not a valid reason to continue in apartheid. It is not. It is not a good justification. It's not a good argument. It's just not.
This ignores a crucial reality. Palestinians have endured brutal oppression. That oppression needs to end. And while some have responded with violence, it's a response to systemic abuse, not some innate desire to harm Israelis. Framing Palestinians as inherently violent and incapable of integrating into a democratic state isn't just wrong, it's racist. As we'll see in this video, Ethan's analysis of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is steeped in Eurocentrism and reveals what seems to be, if I'm going to be very charitable, a subconscious belief in Western superiority. But first, let's introduce the other two subjects of this video. Speaking of holding a belief in Western superiority, this is Asmongold, a live streamer known for bangers such as,
if you want to consider a genocide as a systematic killing of a group of people, they have genocide built into Sharia law right now. So no, I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. I don't give a fuck. They're terrible people. These people are not your allies. They are not the same as us. They come from an inferior culture that is horrible.
I know Asmongold would never do it for me. I know he would never do it for Hassan. I know he'd never do it for any of these other people. He did apologize for these claims, and he did retract these claims. Again, I know that, like, he would not necessarily extend the same charitability, but
horrible. It kills people for their identity, and it is directly antithetical to everything Western values stand for, and it is an inferior culture in all ways.
Yikes. Asmongold's house looks like this, by the way. I'll just leave that on.
And then other people will look at this and be like, adham? Adham. I just learned what adham means yesterday. Adham? It's not an adham if you're talking about inferior cultures, and then your culture is living in a shithole because you want to. That you have enough money to pay for maids, like XQC does. You have millions of dollars, and you are still choosing to live in a mold-infested, roach-infested home, where more than half your desk space is old soda cans and old food that is literally going moldy. You cannot criticize other people's fucking culture when you live like this, dude. Does his apology get rated? Did he get an A+?
On the screen for a second so you can get a glimpse of the superior Westerners' living quarters. Now, it is true that Asmongold has apologized for this horrendous statement, and at the time seemed as though he would try to be more careful when dealing with serious issues going forward, but it wasn't long before he was back on the scene with more bullshit. From joking about rounding up migrants dressed as Ash Ketchum.
What is the probability that Tom Homan would let me go with him, dressed up as Ash Ketchum, with watching them do deportations?
To saying shit like, the Holocaust probably happened.
I think the Holocaust probably happened. I think probably 99% certainty it happened.
To engaging in revisionist history by way of arguing that the Nazis didn't burn books to stifle what they believed to be degeneracy, but rather because those books were, quote, written in Jewish.
The Nazis burned books on gender sciences.
And they weren't. And people have tried to correct this and be like, I've had Asmongold fans come in and they're like, okay, they weren't written in Jewish. He was obviously talking about whatever they write in. It's not important. But that's obviously what he meant. We know Jewish is in the language. That's not the criticism people have, you fucking moron. It was written in German. It wasn't written in another language. What the hell is wrong with you? It wasn't written in Jewish or Yiddish or whatever fucking other language. It was written in German. It doesn't matter what he was meaning to say. He was still wrong with what he was meaning to say.
They did do that.
First. Now the administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans.
It's a bit of a miss. Like, my understanding is that they burned them not because it was gender stuff, but because it was written in Jewish and not German.
This guy is an unstoppable force of stupidity, but a very popular one.
Which again, even if he had said Yiddish, that would still be wrong because it wasn't written in Yiddish. It was written in German.
Millions of followers and dozens of thousands of people who watch every one of his live streams, these callous and irresponsible statements.
Or if he was talking about Hebrew, let's say, even if you give him that, you're like, oh, well, what he meant was it was written in Hebrew. It's like, no, it wasn't. It was written in German. What the fuck are we talking about here?
Are being consumed by his massive audience of mostly young, impressionable men. Mr. Gold here is able to evade the scrutiny he deserves merely due to his position in the media ecosystem. He's a content creator who plays video games and complains about how wokeness is ruining them. If the things he said were said on corporate media or by someone with a reputation of serious political commentating, that would be the end of their career. If Jake Tapper or even Jesse Waters said that they were 99% sure that the Holocaust happened, they would probably get canned and have to stake out a new career as an alt-right creator on Rumble. But when Asmongold says it, well, it's just Asmongold. The other creator I want to touch on quickly before we get back to Ethan Klein is this guy, Mudahar. Now,
Dude, I fucking...
Admittedly, Mudahar is not as bad as Asmongold or even Ethan, but he too displays a degree of what seems to be a subconscious belief in Western superiority when he chooses to dabble in political commentary. Remember what I said about
I think the reason I dislike Mudahar is because it reminds me of the apathy and the general anti-intellectualism that exists in most normies, and it makes me sad. Like, most friends that I've had that are apolitical are like Mudahar, where except for the part where he got radicalized into believing all the shit that Ethan Klein says. But most of the people I know, they're like him, where they're most of the normies I know are like him, where they don't really know anything and they don't feel like learning anything because it's too much work and effort. So they keep saying their normie shit. When they get criticized, they get offended. So they feel the need to defend it, to defend what they said, but they don't know anything. So they make insane arguments and then they just side with whoever's nicer to them. And it's like, you're too lazy to do any research at all. So you just take the coward's way out, the easy way out. You just go with whoever's nicer to you. It's so pathetic. People who don't know much about anything, and then when you try and tell them, they just get really mad at you. I'm a very opinionated person. I like opinionated people. I do. But he doesn't even have opinions. His opinions are, well, all the Israelis and the Palestinians should hold hands and be friends. And I know it's corny, but that's what I want. It's like, I would prefer if you were just Ethan Klein and just playing defense for Israel and saying like, Israel's amazing, it's beautiful, we're going to take our kids, you're going to see, it's wonderful, it's not like anything you've ever heard before. I'd prefer at least you'd be passionate in the other direction than whatever this is.
How these guys approach these sensitive topics in a centrist, ostensibly apolitical way, purely for the sake of creating more drama slop content that ultimately ends up holding water for the right. Well, here's an example of Mudahar doing just that. In October of 2024, Mudahar posted a video called "Twitch is a Disgustingly Evil Platform," in which he attacked left-wing creators and broached the topic of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. At the time, Twitch was being accused of being anti-Semitic. These are claims that I believe to be baseless. Twitch was just highlighting pro-Palestinian voices and creators, some of which were Jewish themselves, and this anti-Twitch hate campaign was largely fueled by this stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause, Ethan Klein. In Mudahar's video on the topic, he starts it out by saying,
"Now, this is in regards to serious world-shattering events that, again, I'm not an expert in, so I'm going to kind of tread lightly in this situation."
He acknowledges that he will be broaching serious subject matter that he is ill-equipped to deal with, which is fine and can be done responsibly, but again, his position as a drama tuber, whether he's aware of it or not, insulates him from even having to try to cover things in a nuanced and responsible way. I mean, the video starts off with Mudahar minimizing Asmongold's genocidal statements, and then he immediately shifts to relentlessly attacking pro-Palestinian advocates. If you're gonna make a video adjacent to the genocide in Gaza, could you at least emphasize the severity and...
Yeah. Oh, welcome, Raiders! Hi, Raiders! I don't know why I didn't play an alert. What the hell? Hi, Raiders! Thank you for the raid majority report. Thank you guys. Welcome. We were talking about this video, SlopTube and Weaponized Ignorance, how careless coverage hurts. And it's related to the conversation with multiple YouTubers. Multiple YouTubers and streamers that talk about Palestine and talk about Gaza and talk about Israel, but they aren't actually willing to sit down and read any of this stuff or have any scholars on their broadcasts ever, and they just have the opinions they have that they want to have, and do nothing else. And it's just sad. It's just sad and it's pathetic. I actually have more respect for the people who say nothing at all than the people who step in just to show that they can't say anything and then take the side of whoever's nicer to them.
wrongdoings of the state of Israel as it exterminates dozens of thousands of innocent people? At least throw up a fucking headline or something. It's true that he pays a little lip service to what's happening in Palestine toward the end of his video.
I'm not somebody that is afraid to say that genocide is wrong. I think that there is an actual case of, genocide, and there's an actual case of attack that goes towards the Palestinian people.
Brave.
I think there's very serious situations that go around the world.
But that's only after he A, spends the first leg of the video doing apologia for and minimizing Asmongold's statements, as we will get into soon. B, spends the rest of it attacking the creators who are actually trying to bring attention to the genocide in Gaza, a genocide our Western governments are complicit in, by the way. And
which, seemingly from breaking reports, the Biden administration never once tried to push Benjamin Netanyahu into a ceasefire agreement. Low-key, though, to any Majority Report viewers, are you guys actually interested in watching a conversation between Sam Cedar and Ethan Klein? I'm curious what the Majority Report viewers think. Because on the one hand, it's like, I want to save Sam Cedar and I don't want him to get involved in like the shit show. But on the other hand, it's so fun watching Sam Cedar school people because he knows so much more than these idiots online. It's like the Jubilee video, right? It's like painful, but it's so much fun to watch him fucking school these people. And that's kind of how I feel with this. It's like, oh man, yeah, so good at it, right? Oh God. God. Only if it's not on the Majority Report, let it be on the H3 show. I agree with you, actually. I do. I think it would bring things full circle. Also, a Son fan. I know, right? I feel like it would. It would just be like a beautiful bow to wrap the entire story up. Teaming up, Ethan and Sam teaming up to take down Steven Crowder, only years later to fall out. Yes, I'm speaking as a non-Majority Report viewer. And then we would get, oh no, Sam, what a nightmare. Oh, man. But I don't know. I'm only interested because of Matt, who hates Ethan and will clue Sam in on the things that Ethan has been saying and prime Sam to ask him what he means when he says these things. Matt enjoyers. Let's fucking go, dude.
C does both sides are bad type bullshit by saying that Jews and Muslims are just at each other's neck, man. That's the way it's always been for centuries.
These are situations that involve, a group of people, Muslims and Jews, that have effectively been at each other's throats for...
The best part of, like, the Mutahar content that has come out is, like, it is the slop fest. Like, it's the slop final boss. This video is such slop that he went back, looked at the fucking video footage where he was out of focus and the camera was in focus of the microphone and said, good enough. He isn't even willing to re-record 10 seconds to make sure that he's the one in focus. Like, it is truly the sloppiest of slopfest content. Is he in a photograph dark room? It looks like he's in a red room, but I think that's just how he lives. I knew the Young Turks was cooked when they started featuring Mutahar videos. Are you joking? You're lying. They're not actually doing that, right? Are you serious? No, you're memeing. I'm gonna assume that you're memeing. Saw Anna's show won a wild bag.
Each other's throats for not just decades, but hundreds of years. You were talking about hundreds of years of just institutional dislike between each other. If you've ever grown up Muslim, and I have, then you know that there is a serious culture of anti-Semitism, in amongst the most conservative of Muslim circles. Just as you will know that there is a serious amount of Islamophobia in the most right-wing of Jewish circles. These are two groups of people that literally are just fighting each other.
But this analysis ignores so much historical context that it's outright irresponsible. Look no further than the Ottoman Empire, where Jews were a protected minority and had representatives in the Ottoman parliament. As our boy Avi put it, unlike Europe, the Middle East did not have a Jewish question. Anti-Semitism was a European malady that later infected the Near East. Jews and Muslims coexisted in many Middle Eastern countries for centuries. It wasn't until the arrival of European colonial settlers in Palestine in the late 1800s and later the formation of the State of Israel and the violence and ethnic cleansing carried out by Zionist forces that began to change. It's true that animosity towards Jewish people picked up as a response to Zionist settlers arriving in Palestine, but that tension had little to do with ideological anti-Semitism and nearly everything to do with the perception of Zionist settlers as part of a European colonial project. This idea that Jews and Muslims are incapable of coexisting is a dishonest narrative. It's weaponized to stoke far-right nationalism, and in Mutahar's case, it's being used to both sides a genocide. It was the interjection of the Europeans into the Middle East that introduced complex political animosities. When you leave that part out, you are lending credence to some very dangerous narratives. Stripping this conflict of its colonial and imperial roots doesn't just...
The work that Israel has done into painting Muslim people as the most anti-Semitic group when the Holocaust happened in Europe is incredible. Like, one of the craziest propaganda campaigns that I've seen. You don't think Ethan is actually going to talk to Sam, right? I don't think he is. Denims are doing a project for college on pro-Palestinian content and the effect of content creators. Can I bug you to fill out a Google form? Do you have time? Yeah, just send an email. I think that email still works. If not, you can send a Twitter message and just tell me what your Twitter account is so I can keep an eye out for it.
Distort history. It hands ideological ammo to ethno-nationalists, legitimizing apartheid and occupation as if they were just natural outcomes of ancient hatred, rather than deliberate political choices. This is a great example of how trying to forcibly stake out a centrist position because you think it adds a veneer of nuance can actually undermine real nuance and give cover to some shitty ideas.
Which is exactly why Mutahar has ever even been criticized for being at all pro-genocide or at all being pro ethno-state. You are legitimizing Israel's right to defend itself and pretending like they didn't create these circumstances. And you're making it out to be this oh, it's just a conflict between these people. Everyone knows that these people just don't like each other. And it's like, what?
Moving on. I don't think it's too much to ask for Mutahar if he's going to broach this serious topic to at least fill us in on the severity and details of what's actually happening in Gaza, especially if he's gonna rack up 1 million views by shitting on these crazy woke Palestinian advocates. By all means, broach serious topics, but brother, you have millions of subscribers and the ability to shed light on the severity of the suffering being inflicted on these innocent people. But I guess it's better for the algorithm if you just take aim at a guy like Hassan Piker instead. All these SlopTube guys really fucking hate this dude. Some of them are genuinely obsessed. Take Nux, for example. He's a... What is this, a cartoon? Who has millions of subscribers across...
I'm sorry. I can't take Nux seriously. Nux will forever be the Twitch thought guy. I don't care. I really don't care what he has to say. And you can never convince me to care what he has to say. Ever. Like, it's not like I've tried. And every single time I've had to see a clip, I immediately burst out laughing. Because he is, to me, only and will only ever be the fucking Twitch thought song guy. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Ones if you know, twos if you don't. Where is it? Denims, don't do it. The fact that he did this and he just naturally sounds like the Boyle character from Fairly Odd Parents. It's like, it's just amazing.
Die. Duh.
Every time I listen to it, it gets a little worse. And to all the people saying, this is satire, right? Ha ha ha. This is satire, right? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, I really am sorry that, like, in my head, this guy will forever be the Twitch hentai video guy. Forever. There's no universe where I can ever take him seriously. Ever. In any video he ever makes.
2 channels and churns out videos about things like Snow White going woke,
Why are you linking it? Because I believe in fair use, King.
streamers like Vitaly and Johnny Somali, and of course, an unhealthy amount of videos about Hassan Piker. Like, way too many to count. Nux is also a little more openly right-wing than your average SlopTuber, and he regularly feels the need to educate us on contentious political matters, which I'm super grateful for, because where else would I develop my understanding of fucking trade protectionism?
In the long term, this is bringing unbelievable wealth and industry to the United States.
It's worth noting that he and his contemporaries rarely, if ever, actually back up their claims. Just look at this description box. No sources, just a polemic descriptor about how Democrats are cooked, Doge Lord Elon Musk, and what seems to be a bunch more SEO ranking terms. And then he has the gall to claim that his video is for educational purposes. Maybe I'm just...
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm a first-time viewer, but I've seen clips and I now understand why you get embroiled in so much beef. Your laugh is devastating. I find a lot of joy in living. Okay? What's the point in living life if you're not going to be happy while you do it, you know? I'm talking about choosing to be mad about things. Like, I feel like a lot of people choose to be mad about the dumbest shit. I'm not saying like, I'm sorry, you have chronic illness and you're choosing to be sad. Grow up. No, obviously not. Obviously not. I'm saying like you have a privileged life relative to the rest of the country or the world. You have an income. Maybe you have family members that care about you, friends that care about you. I have that right now and I'm very grateful for having it. I'm going to enjoy life while I'm around. All right. I think a lot of these people they still have it. Like, Ethan Klein is so much more, he's so rich. He's so much richer than me. He has so much more money than me. He has enough money he can rent friends every time that he does a podcast and make them do all the work. And he shows up late and he's still not happy. And he's still not happy. How sad is that? He at this point is just choosing to be unhappy. I can't become that. I refuse on principle to become that pathetic. I'm sorry. I'm gonna enjoy life.
Just being a dick, but Is it really too much to ask that when we make definitive statements about contentious political or economic issues, we substantiate those claims somehow? Especially if we're going to make quote-unquote educational videos. Anyway, back to Mudahar. In his video, he calls out a pro-Palestinian creator by the name of Frogan, who said this about American soldiers.
I have no...
A pro-Palestinian creator by the name of Frogan, who said this about American soldiers.
I have no pity at all for any fucking soldiers. U.S. military? Boo fucking who? I hope you get PTSD. The U.S. military that are like, yeah, like, you know, I did this back then, but now I know it's wrong. Like, I'm changed. Like, fuck imperialism. Fuck this. You don't deserve the PTSD. But like any other motherfucker, you're joining them. You're like, oh my God, I want my fucking Camaro, no student loans.
The thing that really pisses me off, I'm going to be honest, is that all the people that play the original Frogan clip, they never play all of it. And if you think her take is wrong in its entirety, then just play the whole clip. Why cut it? If you're certain that you're right and her position was wrong, then just play the whole clip. That's my only criticism. It's just like, why? Why not just play all of it?
Fuck you.
Is what she said crude and callous? Yeah, sure. I would never co-sign the wishing of mental health issues onto anyone, but let's examine where a statement like hers comes from. Frogan is a creator of Lebanese descent whose family fled the Israeli-Lebanese war. Is it really that hard to understand why—
That was actually the first time I've seen that clip without it cut out. That's crazy that they did that. Yeah. I mean, like, because you can still— here's the thing, right? You can still disagree with that take from Frogan. I think that there is a realm where you can disagree with that take, where you can say, wait, what about the people who are like in the middle? Who are not aware and will never become aware because they live under a rock and they don't care to become aware. And so they are ignorant of how they helped benefit U.S. imperialism. Even those people, even the people who are ignorant, should suffer PTSD. You can at least make an argument there. At least some argument there, right? But like, why cut it? Just let the whole thing play and then make your argument. And then say, well, that's fucked up. Or people who were drafted. I mean, drafting doesn't— I think she's clearly— sorry, not clearly. I think in here she's talking about U.S. imperialism and IDF and the IDF. And drafts in general don't— I mean, the U.S. hasn't had a draft since the 70s, I think. So, but even that, right? You can say, well, like, what about drafted soldiers? Like, at least you can make some argument, right? Just why do the media cutting?
Person of not only Lebanese descent, but of Middle Eastern, Latin American, African, or Asian descent might feel a hatred for the imperial, murderous U.S. military that has infected their politics, bombed their countries, or outright occupied them for decades? Mudahar seems to think so. He had this to say about Frogan's take.
Oh, how out of touch do you gotta be? How privileged do you gotta be to sit there on your ass in California and just badmouth the people that take a bullet for your freedoms every single day? The most outrageous shit you'll ever hear.
Just for reference, here is Mudahar's very charitable coverage of Asmongold saying that he doesn't care if Palestinians get genocided because he believes they have an inferior culture.
I just want to preface, Zach Asmongold has pretty much walked these things back and, has apologized for it. In this situation, one could, if they were to extend the charitability, could say that Asmongold was probably referring to extremists in the Islamic religion and their view on people in the LGBTQ camp, all right?
And let's take another look at how he responded to Frogan.
Oh, how out of touch do you gotta be? How privileged do you gotta be to sit there on your ass in California and just badmouth the people that take a bullet for your freedoms every single day? The most outrageous shit you'll ever hear.
This is all in the same video, by the way. Where did all the charitability and nuance go? Instead, he goes on a diatribe about how the American military—
Because it's not profitable to defend Frogan. That's why he's not going to do it. That's why— and by defend here, I just mean give any charitability at all. It's not profitable to give any charitability to Frogan, which is why he doesn't do it. It's very profitable to give charitability to Asmongold. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. Once you start looking at things from the lens of like whether or not something will get someone more views or more clicks or whatever, or even more harassment, right? Because if you criticize or disagree with Asmongold, there's like a 95% chance his editor will clip any section that he can find and put it on the channel where it's like, they literally want every bad thing that's ever happened to happen right now to me. So like at the very least, if you just want to avoid getting harassed, you have to provide so much charitability to Asmongold. It's also like— I've always hated this argument about like, how dare you not respect our troops that are taking a bullet for you? It's like America's power and America's freedom to like not get bombed or airstriked by other countries has everything to do with how bloated our military budget is. It doesn't have to do with the troops that we have stationed elsewhere. The only countries that realistically would ever want to go, and they wouldn't want to, go to war with the US would be like, honestly, China is probably the only one. China's probably the only country with the capability to have actual warfare with the US. And again, China would never do that, or at the very least currently in our political climate. Never say never. China doesn't have an interest in doing that because it's a waste of their money and it's a waste of their time, right? The reality is that it's not that US troops are taking a bullet for your freedom and that's why we have our freedom. It's that the US military is so bloated and other countries know that, so they would never engage in warfare against us, right? Our freedom isn't in like Vietnam. It wasn't in Vietnam. Our freedom wasn't in Iraq. Like our freedom hasn't been in these other countries. But I'm not like, it's a personal gripe that I have, which again, like I hate the bad faith argumentation. That's what I hate. Or like the very surface level argumentation. Also, it's just incorrect because US troops don't die for freedom. They die for profit. Hey man, Lockheed Martin, they got to make money somehow. Our freedom is based on who has the biggest gun. And currently we have the biggest gun, which is why the US is free from warfare on our turf. But like, they don't care about that. This is just like the line that gets used all the time. It's so infuriating. Not every troop is in combat. Yeah. I get I don't want to get too deep into the conversation here. I'm on Asmon's side here. I just joined. So what's your argument here? You're on his side on what exactly? By my argument on what? On the only thing that Asmongold has said in this clip has been the thing that he later apologized for. I don't even know what you're asking me to argue. What? I don't. Roaches. Do you love them? Like what did we? The whole Frogan take thing. Oh, what did he say something about the Frogan? I don't know what Asmon said about the Frogan thing. I genuinely don't know. I don't keep up with every single take from Asmongold. I can pull up his Twitter replies. Is this one? Are you talking about this take? I don't know that you know what the take is, sir. Are you talking about this one? About upholding decisions fairly? This one's not. This one's about something else. Is this the take you're talking about? I genuinely don't know which take you're arguing with me on. So okay. Let me know which take and I'll tell you whether I agree or disagree with it. I know this is crazy to hear, but there are things that Asmongold says that are true. When it comes to, it's very simple. When it comes to populist positions that would make his audience like him, he makes good takes. When it comes to populist positions that his audience would like him to say, he also says those things which are not true. Sorry, more accurately, when it comes to positions about how Americans should get treated better, those are generally true. When it comes to things like immigration, when it comes to interpersonal beef he has with other creators, when it comes to tariffs, taxes, anything Trump, it's all partial, and I'm probably going to disagree with it, right? Like this. I saw this on my feed. It's a TikTok that says, when I tell my mom a 9 to 5 for the rest of my life would make me depressed, and she tells me to get used to it because that's how life is. And this person said the vilification of a 9 to 5 job is amongst this generation is absolutely fascinating to me. For God's sake, you're working in an air-conditioned office where you have to reply to emails and add or multiply a few numbers on Excel. Most people around the world would kill for that. Does anyone want to guess? Chatter, do you want to guess? If you haven't already seen this tweet, do you want to guess what his take is on this? Please. For our wonderful Mold Monday, any guesses? Any guesses? Pretend like the Jeopardy music is playing. Any guesses on what his opinion will be on this post? Can I guess? Yeah, go for it. Larry isn't funny. Anyone can guess, chat. Do you think we'll ever get universal income? No one wants to work anymore. These are a lot of good guesses. If her boobs are big, she's valid, but if not, she needs to stop complaining. It's actually a populist position, unsurprisingly. Is it really a surprise that people don't get excited to dedicate the majority of their waking life to something they don't care about? Combine that with the more conspicuous wealth inequality than any other time in history, and yeah, it makes perfect sense. When it comes to something that he thinks he can garner points with his audience for, he's pro that position, and he'll say stuff that's based. Because he's capable of saying stuff that's based. It's just that, again, he's like a populist. He just wants to tell his audience what they want to hear, and that's what he does. Actually, first good position of him, he is capable of having and making good decisions and saying good takes. The thing is, again, like I just said, he has a specific target audience, and he does everything he can to reach those people and get their support, right? I don't have like a blind dislike of Asmongold. My position is just that I think that a lot of the times he's irresponsible with his platform because he refuses to engage with things in a way that's actually meaningful. And he talks about things with very little context and without knowing about them beforehand. Like the video on tariffs is like, it's so bad. It's one of the worst videos I've ever seen. He repeats everything that the woman in the video says about how Trump is great and the tariffs are really good for America and China's fucked. They talked to a couple Chinese factory owners, a few, and they're like, see, this is going to make China fold. He makes like an outrageous claim about how obviously Donald Trump and his genius is going to tariff all the surrounding Asian countries because otherwise China would just move production to these countries. Duh, hello. Literally less than 2 days later, Trump pulls back on the tariffs for every country except China. Brings it down to 10% for every country except China. Again, because he's not talking about the things that he actually knows anything about. If he talks about WoW, I'm sure what he says is actually pretty valid. He plays a lot of that game. He just doesn't care. He knows what the people want to hear, so he gives them what they want to hear. And I think once you look at it from that perspective, it all makes a lot more sense. What he's going to say makes a lot more sense and becomes a little bit more predictable. The only difference in the job climate that shifted is caring about mental health and wealth inequality. Younger generations realize that 9-to-5 slave job is genuinely terrible for mental health, structured to be that way. They just ignored it. Probably one of the easiest jobs ever, warehouse, screen printing work, slapping t-shirts on a table type of stuff, and still mentally draining and terrible because people shouldn't have to slave away and not make ends meet. Well, yeah, and here's the thing, right? No, he sucks at WoW, hasn't had a good WoW take in years. Okay, I don't know. I don't play WoW, okay? I only played Korean MMOs where they had really good physics on the tits, all right? So don't talk to me about WoW. WoW has always been too ugly for me to really get into. And this is coming from someone who was so addicted to MMOs, I became a raid leader, total fucking virgin loser, spent all my time building these fucking raid sheets and teaching people how to do the most basic raid bosses, okay? I couldn't come up with an insult. I was like at a loss for words. Like I'm just going to assume for my sanity that all those people were high and drunk at the same time when I was teaching them these bosses. And was so invested that I literally had to swear off MMOs forever. And I refused to play another MMO ever in my life. I almost relapsed, guys, for the first time in like 5 years. I almost relapsed. I was like, what if I installed it? Final Fantasy. What if I just installed like an MMO? Just like, what if? What if?
World of Warcraft 1-star review. Not enough bouncing titty.
Final Fantasy. Wow. What if I just dip my toe? And I was like, no, bad. No, never again. I know I can't be trusted. But like, the thing is, I'll say two things. One, different jobs for different people. Unironically, some people, the worst form of torture is putting them in front of a computer for 8 hours a day. I love being in front of a computer. The computer is my home. It has all my friends in it. It's got all the funny memes on it. I love my computer. I love a job that I can sit at my computer. Any job that I'm not at a computer, I hate. I hate jobs that require me to not be on a computer. And I've known people who are the complete opposite, who fucking hate computers. And they're like, if you make me work on a computer, I'm going to lose it. That's torture for me. I'm more than happy to sit there doing Helly's job. I'm not even joking. I'm 100% serious. I love a good, boring, menial computer job. I've worked it. I've worked boring, menial computer jobs. I love it. I use Excel sheets in my personal time. Okay? That's great for me. That's wonderful for me. Even if the work itself is menial and boring, I don't mind. I like sitting at a desk. A nightmare job for me, working as like a vet tech. That's like a nightmare job for me. I have nothing but respect for every single vet I've ever encountered in the real world. Christ, you work a difficult job. And that would not be a job I could do. That's like literally, I couldn't do that job. I couldn't handle, for example, people who don't train their pets at all. And there's like, they bring their dog in and it looks like it's about to fucking bite me. It's like barking. They're like restraining this giant 80-pound dog. I'm like, sounds nightmarish. Or like having to tell people that like their pet's gonna die of cancer. Oh my God. I'd rather die than have to do that. Having to see animal abuse like on a daily basis potentially. Oh my God. That is not a job I can do. That is literally, I would be, every day I would go home fucking heartbroken. And like, it would be kind of worth it because eventually, or not eventually, you'll also get lots of people who have like the sweetest dogs and the sweetest cats. And you can tell they care so much about their animals and their pets. But then you'll run into the bad situations and you're like, that would suck the soul out of me. Fuck, dude. That would suck the soul out of me. Office job where I do nothing but stare at an Excel sheet all day. Fucking hell yeah, dude. That sounds like a nice, boring job for me. Where I can be nice and happy at my computer. I can listen to my music. I can get my tasks done. Perfect. Why did I get on this fucking tangent? Anyways, the problem with jobs though is that like most people view their job as just a way to get money so that they can pay for rent and whatever. Rent, utilities, food, so they can live. When you feel like you work your 9 to 5 because it's a job, but you never get any treats except this shithole phone that just gives you nothing but depressing content all day? Is it any surprise that people hate their jobs? You go to work, God forbid it's a customer-facing job, you get berated all day by customers, you get berated all day by your boss, you get to go home, so you have no time, you have just enough time to make yourself lunch and then watch 30 minutes of TV and then go to sleep. And you get to do that forever. And you never get paid time off, you never get sick leave, you don't get to have a union, you don't get to go on vacation. Like, who wants to live a life where you get the only time that you get off is Saturday and Sunday, but you're being told that you shouldn't spend money on avocado toast because then you'll never get a house. So what, you sit home all day? Because what, you want to go get dinner with your friends? That's like anywhere from 20 to 50 bucks. Not to mention you have to catch up on all your chores. You got laundry to get to, you got dishes to get to, you have some sweeping, mopping, vacuuming to get to. Like, is it any surprise then that people hate their jobs? That even if the job itself is pleasurable, or like it's not a negative, you're not working a hard physical job, even if you're working in a factory that's air conditioned, it's still a physical job, but like relative to construction work, less physically draining. But is it any surprise that those people also hate their jobs because they do nothing but go home, take care of life shit, and then go back to work? And they're incentivized to not ever spend money because they need to save it for when they get cancer and so that they can pay for their cancer bill. Like, what? That's not living. Like, what the fuck? What part of that is living? Bizarro. Anyways, this guy stopped typing, but hope you're still around. Hope you're having a good time, Dr. Logic. Epic, Dr. Logic. I'm 24 now. I've been working since 16. This is the first job I've had that has actual benefits. If you're wondering what the job market is on the East Coast for someone with an education, I have a GED. Yeah. But that's why I think I'm pro worker rights beyond over almost everything else. Like, that is like probably my number one issue, that workers need to get treated better. It's not fair that you make billions of dollars for your boss so they can go to fucking space and back 20 times this weekend and you can't get 10 days of sick leave. That doesn't seem good. That doesn't seem fair. But I mean, this has been one of my most consistent positions. But anyways. All right, guys. I'm going to be honest. I want to finish this video, but there's still obviously a lot left. It's the entire Ethan Klein segment that's left. So went to go find the crab raid video so we can end on that note. And he's making a whole podcast episode dedicated to her. Dear Frogan with peace and love. I need to, just one peek before we go.
Bro.
Oh, wow.
What a day. What
Bringing
a
down
day.
the house.
Although
Incredible.
there was a bit of a disaster in the pizza party room because, oh, fuck. Even
You're
in
getting
Michigan.
shortchanged out in Ventura, my guy.
Even in Michigan, they're doing goodie bags.
Shit, my grandma went all out. Goodie bags. We had like 2 actors each time.
Well, what was the drama that there wasn't enough for all the kids or something?
That's me, Lena, and our niece.
Oh, she looks like you,
that's
Lena. Wow, cute. Oh my God, that is so cute. Did she want the Star Wars thing?
Yeah, she did, and she didn't know I was Vader at first, and she was like, she was afraid, but it was really cute.
What a little angel.
Yeah.
Are we going to get another poop story? No!
Yeah, this is what they looked like, though. You guys were all... Yeah, this is basically the same thing they were wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sick outfit.
All right, well, whatever. I don't care about whatever the fuck they're talking about. I guess we'll find out in a couple hours all the fucking clips that are going to come out of him saying terrible things about Frogan, which is just, we know it's going to happen, right?